Woo, GoManGo is looking good. Look at that shine. Hey, what's up, gang? Welcome back to the Speedy's Garage YouTube channel. After Challenger Fest, or there's a couple of events each year that kind of end seasons for me when it comes to racing and whatnot. Some of them are in the spring and some of them are in the fall, and it's usually around those times that I do a really good detail on GoManGo here. I get the track crap off of it. The rest of the time I keep it touched up and I keep it clean, but those 2 times a year, usually at the end of spring and at the end of fall, right when winter starts, when the track starts to shut down, is when I'll do a really thorough cleaning on the car. The rest of the time, I'm not a car detail fanatic. I used to be, and it got to be sort of a chore, to be honest. When I just had one car, I would detail it probably once a year and completely polish it with the machine, put several polishes on it, the 3-2-1 type deal, where each one gets a little bit less abrasive, and then a sealant, and shampoo the carpets and all that stuff. I got to where I had more than one car, and trying to keep up with all that was just sort of getting to be a pain. And so with the Hellcat, I wanted something that would keep it looking really, really good for the least amount of effort. And back in 2017, I started hearing about ceramic coatings, and I don't know how long they had been out, but it was a relatively, felt like a relatively new thing, at least it was to me at that time. This is 5 years ago. And so I decided to look into it for this car, and that's what I decided to have done. And at the time, the professional stuff was sort of all the rage. There wasn't a whole lot that I can remember that was like do it yourself. And so if you remember that, I'll link it to the top. It was 2017, like I said, 5 years ago. I had the car professionally ceramic coated. So usually what will happen is your detailer that does that type of work will come out and they will paint correct the car because they're assuming it's already got swirls and scratches on it. This car was brand new, and I'm super meticulous when I wash a car. I learned a long time ago, use the 2-bucket wash method, do the wheels separate, rinse it really well, use high quality soaps and things like that, and you can almost eliminate scratches in the car, to be honest, if you do it properly. Wash from top down. I got some other videos on that. I'll link to those too. I'm not a detail expert. This is just what I've done, and it's kept the car looking nice. So I had the detailer come out. He looked it over, and normally back then, this is 5 years ago, it was like $1,000 for a car of this size to have it ceramic coated, and that included the paint correction. He looked the car over and he was like, man, this thing has no scratches on it. I'll just touch up a couple of places that I see and knock $400 off the price, and I'll just do your ceramic coating for $600. And so that's what I paid to have it done. And it was probably one of the best decisions I ever made for this car. I don't want to say like I neglect the car, because I don't, but literally all I do is drive it through a completely touchless car wash, like you guys may have seen if you've watched this channel before. And it's one of those that just sprays soap on the car, it sits for like 30 seconds, and then it sprays it off. And the car will come out almost spotless using that method with the ceramic coating on the car. Some people say not to do that because of the pH levels of the soap and the places that you take it, and the water is recycled and all this other stuff. Well, I've been doing it for 5 years, and I don't take it every week. It might go through that car wash 2 or 3, 4 times a year tops. The rest of the time, I use some detail spray on it. I'll show you that in a second. When's about to close my door for me here? Detail spray on it, which I'll show you in a second, to kind of keep the bugs and stuff off of it. And it is garage kept, and I don't drive it in terrible weather and all of that. So when I had it ceramic coated, the guy said it to last about, the guarantee was 7 years, but he said if you're keeping it garage kept, it's probably more like 10. And it has held up really, really well. I cannot tell you how slick. I mean, you touch the car, and it just literally feels like there's some kind of super slick shell on it. And when you look at the paint, I don't know if it comes through on camera or not, but it looks like there's something on top of the paint that's like 1/8 of an inch thick before you get to the color. I mean, it's really crazy. If you can see my hand, the reflection there, it's pretty wild. And all I have done literally is just run it through a touchless car wash from time to time, and maybe a couple of 3 times a year hand wash it with the 2-bucket wash method. Like I said, use a 2-bucket wash method. One gets a little bit of soap. Both have grit guards in them, and this is solely to keep contaminants off the paint. You don't want to scrub on the car with a bunch of dirty junk. It'd be like washing it with sandpaper. Rinse bucket, It's got a grit guard in it too, with a special one that you can kind of clean the sponge out with first. So the idea is I use a, it's called a foam gun. And so I put my soap solution, and I've marked it with how much to put in this. And this is one of those Gilmore, you know, wide variety. I'll leave a link to everything I use in the description in case you want to check this stuff out. But basically you just hook this up to your garden hose. This snaps onto here, and this will soap the car down. And I use just a inexpensive Meguiar's. I use this exact one, Deep Crystal Car Wash. It's always worked really well, and for the price I think it's probably one of the best car wash soaps you can get. It suds up really nice, and it does a good job getting the car clean. Mix that up in here, spray the car down, wash it. And as I'm washing, I will go to the rinse bucket first, clean out the sponge that I'm using or the microfiber mitt. And then I go to the wash bucket, pick up some fresh soapy water, and go back to the car again and continue washing. I use two separate wash mitts, one for the body, one for the tires and wheels. And I always wash the wheels last when I'm completely done. Some people actually get another separate bucket just for their wheels. I'm not that fanatical about it. I make sure to clean out the inside of the buckets really well after I've washed the car, so I don't worry too much about that. But I do use two separate mitts for the body and the wheels. And finally, I blow it off with a cordless blower. That's something else the detailer told me about. You want to try not to rub on the car as much as possible, because that always gives you an opportunity to induce scratches. So the less you can touch it, the better. So I foam cannon it, like I said, wash it down, rinse it off, spray it with the, or blow it with the cordless blower. And in between, I use this stuff. It's CarPro, I think it's pronounced H2O or EC2O, and it's a spot detailer, or you can use it as a waterless wash depending on the ratio that you mix it with water. They give you some instructions on the back depending on what you want to do. But I diluted about 1 part of this to 15 or 20 parts water. I use a really soft microfiber towel, and I put it in this guy. This is just a solo sprayer. Again, I'll link to the description. Some of this stuff, it pumps up, and then you can just spray the car a panel at a time and just wipe it off. This is what I use to keep the car spot detailed in between washes, and this stuff sort of fortifies the ceramic. This is what the detailer that installed the ceramic coating told me to use. And we have super hard water here. That means there's a ton of minerals and other lime and stuff, scale in the water. This is some of the best money I have ever spent on a detailing product. Garden hose connects here, comes out the other side. I use it with a pressure washer, and this filters out all of the minerals and deposits and deionizes the water, and you get 0 water spots. So now you're not rushing around trying to dry the car off real quick before it spots. These aren't cheap. I think this one's about 300 bucks, but again, the best money I have ever spent on car detailing products, and I've never had to refill the resin yet. So I've had it since 2017, and it's still in the original container of resin, and it comes with this TDS monitor, which is total dissolved solids, I think is what TDS means. But long story short, it will tell you in the little screen when you push the button how many solids you have in the water, and when it gets to a certain point, you know you got to change the resin out. The last time I used this, I think it said 11, so that's still good to go. Now, blah 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 it on for several minutes so that you guys would know why the car still looks as good as it does after 5 years of ownership, drag racing, and everything else. I don't wash it all the time. I don't even wash it once a week. This car might get washed, like I said, hand washed 3 or 4 times a year and run through a touchless car wash 3 or 4 times a year tops. However, I got a problem. I noticed when detailing it after Challenger Fest that I could feel something on the surface of the paint, particularly the trunk, the roof, and the hood, the horizontal surfaces. So you can do a baggie test. You put your hand in a bag, and you don't go like gouging into the paint. You just barely touch it. Just barely kind of move your hand around just a little bit, and I can really feel some rough like particles on the car, which is unusual because the ceramic is usually super slick. However, if I come down here on the side, it is baby smooth. I don't feel anything. So what that tells me is something has landed on the horizontal surfaces of the ceramic, and enough that it's stuck to the ceramic. And used to, I could take a microfiber towel and just throw it, and it would like almost shoot off the other side of the car. And I mean, it still does a little bit, but nowhere near like it used to. I mean, it used to just almost like if I set it right here, it would like slide down and hit the spoiler. So it's lost, or it's got something stuck on it that's made it lose that slick feeling. So I didn't know, you know, I'm not a detail expert like I said, so I reached out to Gtechniq. The product we used when we ceramic coated the car, or the professional guy ceramic coated the car, was Gtechniq Crystal Serum. That's what it was called. I emailed them, told them what I was seeing. I said, is there a solution? And they said, well, first of all, you're supposed to like once a year do a decontamination wash. Well, whoops, I didn't know that. The detailer didn't say anything about it either. So they told me what to do. I'm going to show you the products that I got. They said you want to use a fallout remover. And they recommended theirs, of course, but theirs, I never could find any information about it being safe on the PPF. I got the clear film on the front of the car to protect it from chips. That was another excellent investment because the car has no chips on the front. My old car, I'd spend an hour once a year with a Q-tip or a toothpick and touch-up paint, touching up all the little nicks. This car doesn't have that problem. Definitely recommend the PPF. And the one I used was Expel. IronX. This was the one that had really good reviews. It smells. I can already smell it through the bottle. That was one of the big things everybody said. I guess these products, because of the way they work, they stink. And so I'm going to pull the car outside. I'm going to probably wear gloves so I don't touch it. But the idea, comes a little pump sprayer, and I'm going to have to cut that down. Obviously, it's too big to fit the container. I'm assuming it's because they sell multiple sizes, so I'll just cut that off short. Spray the car down, let it soak about 5 minutes. You have to do this out of the sun, obviously. And supposedly, it will start to lift contaminants off the surface of the car. And this is if you have regular finish, regular clear coat, or ceramic coating. It doesn't really matter. I'm hoping that whatever's gotten on the car, this stuff will start to take it off and bring that slick feeling back. So we're going to try that. And then they suggested a citrus foam, which is their W4 product, and I did use theirs this time, Gtechniq. And it says, unlike traditional pre-washed snow foams that come loaded with caustic chemicals, W4 Citrus is a pH neutral, blah, 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 blah. And it says it removes hard to shift grime without damaging coatings. It combines the effectiveness of citrus degreaser and a foaming agent, making it tough on grime. So they said to try these two products and see if I could get that slick feeling back. Hopefully we're good to go. You guys follow along, we're gonna see how we do. And this also gave me an opportunity to upgrade one other thing. I had been using the foam gun, like I said, just connects to the garden hose. Back when I got that, I didn't have a pressure washer. I've since bought a pressure washer, so now I can upgrade to a foam cannon, which should work much, much better. So instructions are to put about 1 inch of W4 in the cannon, fill the rest up with hot water. We've got some adjustments we can make to use it. We're gonna get to work, hopefully decontaminating the car's paint, and it'll be back good to go again. And somebody may ask, Speedy, does it still bead water? Surprisingly, the answer is yes. Literally, you can't tell there's anything wrong with it. I mean, until you touch it. And even touching it, you know, that's always subjective. I just notice it because it's so different than like the vertical surfaces. Like they are super slick, but you can feel a difference on the horizontal, but it still beads water like mad. So I don't know what got on it. If maybe, you know, there's a car plant not too far away and I go out and cruise around sometimes and go shopping or whatever and park the car, maybe something landed on it, maybe something worked on something in the shop and it created some kind of fog or something that landed on it. I don't remember doing that, but it's possible. But it beads water, it just feels funny. All right, I got the pressure washer all set up. I've got the IronX ready to go. This stuff smells like death. I don't think I've ever smelled a car cleaning product that was so bad. Anyway, we're gonna start. I'll probably start on the top. I've never used this stuff before. It says off, I need to flip it on. Flip it to spray. Both of them say spray. I'll flip it to spray. And I'm just gonna start spraying the car down with it. Says you'll see little purple flakes as it starts to do its thing. So we'll see. My arm's already tired. Okay, so I sprayed it down, and sure enough, you can start to see some of these purple, hopefully you can see those. The purple dots start to show up. So there's our contaminants. So I'm just gonna let it soak for about 5 minutes, and I'm gonna pressure wash it off and then see where we're at. This was the 500 milliliter, 17-ounce bottle, and I used every drop. So the Hellcat's, you know, pretty good sized car, but I can already tell a huge difference. I don't feel any of that roughness anymore. So I think that's the ticket. We're going to use the W4 wash now in the foam cannon and finish it up. And I've got the W4 citrus wash mixed up like they said, 1 inch into the container and filled the rest with warm water. It's got a 1/4 inch connection that'll go right on the end of our pressure washer, and we got a foam gun. All right, so we're all finished. I did the IronX, which obviously there were some contaminants on the surface and you saw them turn purple. We pressure washed those off. Then I did the foam cannon, which gets a thumbs up from me. I'm definitely gonna be using that thing a lot. The W4 wash is kind of a twice a year sort of decontamination wash, but I'm gonna try the McGuire's crystal wash in the foam cannon. I may actually replace the drive-through touchless car wash with using the foam cannon and just pressure washing the car off. It looked like it would work really, really good, and probably be better for the finish. I mean, if it worked that well, I mean, you saw what it did. I'll probably replace the drive-through with that. Anyway, how did we end up? I still feel a little bit of something on the surface. So if I touch the sides, it's not as bad. Let's try the baggie, because that really tells the tale. I don't know why it makes things more sensitive to touch, but it does. I would say it's about 60% better. I still feel a few things, but nowhere near as bad. But that means I still got some work to do. It looks fine, as you can see, very shiny, and you can't tell a difference between the sides and the top, or at least I can't. But I want that super slick feeling back. I'm just being anal about it, I guess. So I'm gonna check and see. Normally, I would clay bar something like that. I put some clay bar lubricant down and just clay the surface to get whatever that is off. The stuff I've been reading says you're not supposed to clay a ceramic surface, which is weird to me, considering they told me if you try to do this yourself, you have to be super careful, because if you get it wrong and you get a drip or whatever, you have to sand it off or polish it off. So how is a clay bar going to remove the ceramic? I don't know. I'm going to email Gtechniq back, because I want to try to follow their recommendations and at least see what they'll tell me. I hope you enjoyed the video. Stay tuned. We're going to find out how we solve this. Please give it a thumbs up if you liked it. Check us out on Instagram. It's @Speedys_garage, as well as our website, www.speedysgarage.net, and hopefully I'll see you out there.